Folks, what is going on? Welcome to episode 2 for the Performance Coaching Weekly video series. This week, I am going to share with you the most important advice I could share with anyone. And I also want to talk to you about a pop-up challenge that I would like to invite you to, which is very exciting. So, I won't take up much time here. Last week, we talked about our creating a routine and creating weekly habits and daily habits. So I hope you had a chance to do that and look into your life and how we can implement new habits into our life on a daily basis. Essentially, the concept of last week was how our entire life is built upon what it is that we do on a daily basis. This week, I'm going to do one more quick video on that idea with talking about one specific habit, and then we're going to move on from here next week. But this is the most important habit that I have ever implemented into my life. It's the most consistent. It's something I do every day on a daily basis, and it's probably the biggest influence and creator of change in my life. And this is saying a mantra. Now, I don't know, you can say a mantra or a mantra. It probably sounds quite American if I say mantra, so I'll say mantra to give it that correct appeal. But I want to talk about a mantra from a scientific perspective as opposed to a spiritual perspective. There's a lot of research you can do with Buddhism and Taoism in the sense of how powerful mantras are, and there's a lot of Buddhists and a lot of different cultures where almost the only thing that they say their entire day is they repeat their mantra their entire life. And it's quite common if you are a new Buddhist that they might give you a mantra, or someone kind of higher up will give you one, and you literally repeat that your whole life. Extremely powerful, and whenever I hear of ideas that's happening in the East, I think that they do an incredible job with how they choose to live their lives. So I take their knowledge and information quite seriously, but I also want to have the quick discussion with you about a mantra on a scientific perspective. I do a ton of mindset work. I help a lot of people shifting perspective as being a licensed NLP practitioner. I work with mindset a lot. I work with a lot of people who experience negative thinking and consistent negative thought patterns, and this is something that I use to help them as well. But it doesn't just have to be for people who are dealing with negative thinking, although I think all of us do deal with negative thinking at some point. I'm also just looking, I was wearing a hat and I can see I have like a little red mark. But anyways, so this mantra, here's how I want to explain to it before we jump into it, explain how powerful it is. Our brains, the way that our brains work is we are continually repeating the same stuff in our head. Whatever the story is, whatever the beliefs are that we tell ourselves, we don't have all that many new thoughts. It's quite well known that whatever the large percentage is, 60 to 80% of our thoughts are repetitive. And that's how our brain works. Our brain, it loves routine. It loves doing things on an ongoing basis, because when we create routines in our life, it allows our brain to free up that energy so it doesn't have to intensely think about those things. And unfortunately, that happens in our life to the point where it doesn't serve us as well. And thinking is a big part of that. A lot of our thoughts, we have a lot of ongoing repetitive thoughts, and a lot of times they are negative thoughts as well. I explain to people, I've actually written a small book on this that never got released, but it will someday, about how the difference between the mind and the brain, and how we have to use the mind to overpower the brain. But I'll quickly share this example. When it comes to negative thinking and thoughts in general, think of your brain as a dirt bike track. And as the dirt bike, which is the thought or the negative thought, is going around this track, every time it goes around, it's making the ruts in the track a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper. What happens is, eventually, as the dirt bike goes around the track, it just falls in these patterns. So it's almost like the deeper and the more we think about something, the easier it is that becomes a ritual and a habit that we continue to think about. To the point where even if you're not in that rut, if you're kind of driving on the outside of it, it's very easy and very likely that you're going to slip into it and go back to your old patterns. This is how thinking patterns work. The longer we think something, the more it becomes embedded into our life. Now, all of you know that I'm a huge believer in repetition. Repetition is the mother of all skills. I think Tony Robbins or Jim Rohn was the first one to say that. It's extremely true because we don't learn something a lot of times the first time around. And our thinking works the same way. So here's where the power of a mantra comes in. And I also want to share this on the idea of what I said last week about how our life works on a daily basis, how we are living our life one day at a time, and how we live that day is how we live our life. So a mantra, from a scientific perspective over a spiritual perspective, what we are doing is we are intentionally recreating the story that we want to tell ourselves on an ongoing basis. And we're creating that in repetition. And what happens is if we have these automatic negative thoughts, which some people have come to call them ants, automatic negative thinking, if that's how the brain works and we want to get out of these ruts, it's very simple. We simply have to intentionally and repetitively think about the thoughts that we want to think. And that's what a mantra does, and that's how powerful it is. On top of that, doing it on a daily basis is extremely powerful because it allows us, if you do it in the morning, it allows us to start our day, and every day is our life for that day. It allows us to start our day on the path that we want to start it on. We get to dictate our plan for that day. Now, your mantra can be anything you want it to be. It can be a word, it can be 3 words, it can be a sentence, it can be 5 sentences, whatever you want it to be. But I will say this. We want it to be something that is almost a turnaround statement for a way that you want to think. So if I have someone who's dealing with negative thoughts, I ask them, what are the thoughts about? Then we create a turnaround statement to combat that negative thinking. I'm not good enough. Your turnaround statement and your mantra is going to be something in the world of saying that I am confident and I am good enough. And I'm going to, there's a whole system I have with negative thinking about breaking down limiting beliefs. So that's not the whole concept. But for creating a mantra, I want you to think of something that you want to improve in your life or an area that you want to focus on. And I want that to become your mantra. And it can be the most powerful thing in your life. And what happens is I've been doing this for years now because I absolutely love it, is your mantra will change. You will create a mantra. It will then eventually, in that repetition, you are going to change yourself and you're going to solve the problems in that area. And then you're going to create a mantra that in an area that's going to serve you in that next form of your life. So for me, my mantra at the moment, and it has been the same for quite a while because I've learned there are certain things in my life that I really want to focus on. Not that I have to change, but things that I always want front of mind. Certain things that you can use that I use are don't react. Don't care what other people think, and don't worry. Those are three big ones that I've carried in my life for a very long time. Another one, trust your intuition. I just shot a video of this. It's also on the YouTube channel. Whatever your higher self, trust God, believe in something bigger. I've had ones that were slow down, step into your greatness. Very quick, short sayings that I have had that allow me to snap myself into this routine. Now, going back to, I'm only allowed to shoot 10 minutes here, so I'm going to run out of time, so I'm going to wrap this up quick. But I've said what I wanted to say. But going back to the daily habits, if you're doing the morning routine, I do this at 5 a.m. I go outside and I say my mantra for the first 20 minutes of my walk. It is extremely, extremely powerful. So I want you to create your mantra, and I want you to start figuring out what that is and what you want it to be. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions. Okay. Pop-up challenge. I just started the Wim Hof Method book. It is absolutely incredible. We're going to start a cold water challenge starting tomorrow. If you are in, tomorrow being April 5th, some people here are all around the world. I'll put the link to the Facebook group if you want to join us in the email. I hope you do. I'll see you over there. It starts tomorrow for 1 month. It's going to be awesome. Talk to you later. Peace.